So could you briefly introduce yourself and tell us how you first got into crypto space? You originally come from a Web2 background. Can you tell us about your journey into Web3? What made you decide to make the switch?
My name is Burnt Banksy, or Anthony Azarone. I got that name because about 4 years ago I bought a Banksy art piece. I lit it on fire, sold it as an NFT. That NFT ended up breaking the record for highest price NFT sold and was the highest average price NFT sold on OpenSea for all of 2021. Since then we raised about $36 million to build Zion and make crypto completely disappear. I originally got into the space back in probably 2016, being in New York when Consensus was there and a lot of crypto was culturally just starting to get formed. I had a college roommate that also got into it with me. I started mining Ethereum because at the time the school that I was attending gave me free electricity. Since kind of that moment I knew I really liked crypto and I wanted to stay in it for quite some time. Once I did the Banksy burning, I had been a miner and I had been dealing, I had deployed a few smart contracts on Ethereum, but nothing crazy. Yet minting an NFT and selling it on OpenSea for someone who has been mining for a while was pretty difficult. There is the ethos of crypto, which is giving access to everybody. We weren't really making it accessible to everyone. We were kind of making it accessible to people who had the ability to pay and kind of learn. Back in 2021, I started what is kind of now Zion, but started off as the first NFT marketplace on Solana, building the first NFT standard and collection standard there. And then we realized that the entire process was actually what was at fault. 2022, we kind of decided to take it one step further and go on the infrastructure layer to really try to solve that problem.
So you've mentioned that Zion works with major global brands, often without even knowing it's a crypto company. Could you share how these collaborations work in practice?
It's a great question. The brands that we are working with don't know that they're working with a crypto company because we've made crypto completely disappear. It is the way that we can work with Uber and say, hey, actually we can find out, who the top Lyft riders are so that you could, hypothetically, if you wanted to, directly pay them instead of trying to put targeted billboards around them. It's the way that Nike can work with Strava and say, oh, well, we know who runs the most in this area. Why don't we kind of look at that in attempts to sell more shoes? And you start to think about this aspect of providing a benefit for Web2 companies. It's actually very easy to work with Web2 companies, but when you try to say, hey, Web2 company, try to incorporate crypto, you end up spending $40 million on something that inevitably fails. Same should be said with crypto. You shouldn't need to know how everything works. You shouldn't need to know what a wallet is or all the jargon that comes with it. Just as a Guinness, you should just be able to enjoy it.
So you've described Zion as the unicorn of unicorns. What exactly does that mean to you, and what makes Zion uniquely positioned to reach that level?
That's a great question. The unicorn of unicorns is a great way to describe Zion. And a lot of that is because the success of Zion comes with the success of the projects that built on top of Zion. You are now able to build anything that you want in any capacity that you want it, with access not to where you are specifically, but for the first time, the entire world, which makes growth doable and scaling doable in a way that previously hasn't been done before. And when you can get the access and you can get the exposure, you no longer need to be someone in order to be someone. Innovation builds upon innovation. You have Uber by Travis Kalanick, building on an iPhone by Steve Jobs, on an internet that was pioneered by Horowitz over at Netscape. And at every level, the success of that kind of bottom level comes the success of people above that. Whether that be Facebook pioneering the internet or Uber pioneering mobile adoption, you always kind of have this concept of unicorn of unicorns. And by building this new version of the internet, that's exactly what we're looking for. We're looking for the next Travis Kalanick, Ben Horowitz, Steve Jobs. Doesn't matter where you are, you no longer need to be in Silicon Valley to run a successful company.
Thank you for your insight.